All right. All right. What's up, everybody, man? Morning. What's up, cuz?
What's up? What's happening?
What is happening? And coming in hot, right off the golf course.
Yep. And it is hot out there today.
Is it?
Nah, it's not too bad.
How far is the course from your place?
It's just golf cart ride, not very far.
It's part of the property, right?
Yeah, it's just right down the road.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, man. Thank you for jumping in. I know we've got a few folks. We'll have more people jumping in, but hey, this is everybody's opportunity to jump in, ask question, what's on your mind. I would love to kind of throw it out there. You know, what's the number one thing that you're wrestling with to grow your business? Let's throw it in the comments, and would love to unpack that. Because I know you talk to more agents than most, and man, what's the conversations? What are you seeing? What's the temperature in the agent world, agent attraction world, as well as their business? Because I know you dive into what they're struggling with, what the challenge is, and you know what's the common theme, or what's a couple of things that you're seeing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been pretty busy, man. I mean, with agent attraction's been a lot of conversations there. Definitely a lot of quality teams and such coming over. People that been looking or been tied up in an agreement where they couldn't get loose. Some of that. So that's kind of typical for that. This first quarter of the year. I had a few people that reach out that just are wanting to kind of grow their business, and they used to either coach with us or came around through those the years and years of us putting out a ton of content and helping agents with their business. So a lot of that, and I think the main struggle I hear is the lack of inventory and really trying to shift to the listing side of the business. So you have those turnover faster, you get paid faster, and anything you can do right now on the listing side is definitely a high priority.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the time most people are going to seeker mode when they really, it's that whole lost, confused, and insecure. And right now I think a lot of people are lost at what to do to generate opportunities, especially on the listing side. And more so what I'm seeing, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, is those agents that a majority of their business has been built on the buy side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely a struggle. So guys, whatever's on your mind, whatever questions, throw them in. And so I know we've got Jacob, had a great event, had the opportunity to go out to Columbia, first time out to Columbia, South Carolina. So it was great. And man, so Jacob's asking, and cuz let's break this down for him. Break down an event offer. Made an offer this weekend with 100 people in attendance and got 4 people to sign up, helping them be the licensed options specialist. How can I get more conversion?
Explain what does he mean by the licensed options specialist?
So it's obviously the room is full of investor first. And so many of them don't have their license. And so his whole approach around it is you want to get licensed so you have more options, not only, for yourself to create additional revenue streams. So that was really more of the offer is like, hey, we're going to get you licensed. We're going to help you unlock more revenue streams, because most of the people in the room, you got to think they're trying to, develop an investment portfolio so they can get out of the day-to-day. And, sometimes some of them have full-time jobs and they're doing this part-time. So that was his push.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's it's a little different angle than what we've ever done. I would say, there's a couple ways to look at it. I mean, you want to have the leverage of if you got 100 people in front of you, you want to be able to get them to pull the trigger and say yes. I don't know what that offer looked like, so it'd be hard for me to critique it and what you could do to improve upon it. I'd need to know a little bit more about that. I think, we've always studied Frank Kern for selling things, or Dan Kennedy and selling from the room, or Joe Polish even selling from the room. But yeah, you have to make the offer has to be an irresistible offer. Also, Perry Belcher. I mean, there's a lot of studies that go. I mean, I can tell you one of the hardest things in the world to do is sell a product in the room. And so, there's been years and years and years of studies that have gone into all the things that we've done. The last several years has been, it's a craft. Like it takes me sometimes a month to nail to nail an offer. As an in the room offer or a webinar offer. No, they're usually no different. It's not an easy thing to just say, hey, here's what it is, right? Like you have to have a story. You have to have a hook, a story, and an offer. And that's the basics of it.
I think too, just obviously, Coach Burt's huge on this, and going through Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers, he really breaks down, what you just said, right? It has to be irresistible, and kind of stepping back, which is always easier, right? After the event, understanding that a majority of the audience, they're not looking to part ways with their money. It was a low ticket event. And typically those people have just been, free meetups, right? So they just do, weekly, biweekly, monthly meetups. And so it's more of a meetup type of community that they sold into an event. And so and ultimately, a call with him was really kind of what it was, but he was offering to walk them through 6 weeks of how to set up the additional revenue streams. But I'm with you, just not getting in specific with him, but just more so the principles around. And it's exactly what you said, right? It's the story that leads into an offer that solves, and this is Coach Burt 101, right? Solve the problem of the people in the room. And if you do that with so much value at a price that they would be like, man, I'm an idiot if I don't move forward with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is it. I think, whatever, what is, Richard or not Richard, Russell Brunson's book. Russell Brunson's book is probably one of the best, best like all around how to sell something books that's out there.
Yeah.
That's something I would dive into. I think it helps with the whole, the whole process of what you're creating. And maybe I haven't read the $100 million offer. I need to read that one.
Yeah, it's short. I mean, it's fantastic. He's got some, couple exercises and things in there. And I mean, his quote on the book is from Branson, right? It's like, dude, this book is so good. That's what the quote.
Nice.
Quote on it. Which book of Brunson's is his one?
His experts, whatever it is, something experts. It was his main. If you get into any of his funnels, it's his main thing he tries to sell you.
Perfect.
And it is the most complete of anything. Like the book is, everything else you buy from Russell Brunson is everything he put in the book. So like he just takes all that stuff and resells it to you and repackages it and sells everything that's in the book. Like the book he did the book right.
That's awesome. We want to give an update on the rapid funnel tool.
Yeah. I mean, we're this week will be, we've actually got the app. We're actually able to use it and test it. And so we're about ready for a soft launch coming up in next week. So I would anticipate sometime Monday we'll be have a little special invitation for a handful of people to get started with it. And then once we get some feedback and get some data back, we'll be ready to do a full launch probably within a couple weeks maybe, and it'll be ready to go. But yeah, it's coming together. It's slick and it's going to be helpful. I think everybody's going to like it.
Awesome. So that'll be rolling out. So stay tuned. Mailings just listed in the neighborhood to let sellers know what you've done and or have you had success, or it's out more of a top of mind approach.
Yeah. So I think you might have answered the question there. Or the way the top of mind is how I would answer. The goal with marketing is whatever subset of the market. And this is why I tend to say that a blanket mailing to just listings and just sold is not going to be very effective. And it wasn't. I've done it, and it was never effective. And I did it and tried it for a long time. Spent a lot of money on a lot of things that didn't work. But the reason it doesn't work, and this is what you just want to always understand with marketing, is it's all reach and frequency. So reach is how many people get the postcard. Frequency is how often they get something from you. And assume that 21 to 30 times is how many times they need to see you before they're going to think of you first. Mm-hmm. And so the odds that you're going to use a just listed or just sold card to generate somebody who's going to call you cold and say, I want to do business with you, is really low. Now, if you send a postcard, and this is the better angle for today, if you send that postcard and you put on that postcard, this is the thing with marketing, right? Like, the right headline might make all the difference in the world for anything, right? So whether it's a billboard, it's what you're saying on radio, it's TV, it's a digital, whatever it is, like everything, 80% of the result is what you say in the headline. So if you put a headline on a postcard that said, this is how you might make it work. Okay. So I'm trying to debate with myself here if I would try this or not. If I was going to do it, it would be a home just sold in your neighborhood that affected your home's value. Go here to see what your home's worth today. That might work, right? So if somebody was thinking about selling and a home sold that affected the value of their home, to find out more about what your home's worth in today's market, go here. That call to action might actually get a result. You're trying to flush out that 2 to 3 people that might be actually thinking of selling. That's what you're trying to do with the just listed or just sold card, right? And so it needs to be something that's actionable and valuable that might, that might be of interest to that person that's thinking about selling, say, in the next 6 months, right? So that's how I would do it if I was going to do it. I probably would never send them to just listed. I don't think that's I can't think of a good angle that you can use with that. But the just sold, you could do that. I think that might work. But primarily if you're going to mail to them once, you want to adopt them to your list that you mail to consistently, right? Yeah. And then every time if you're going to send it to 100 homes or to a neighborhood around a sold or whatever, we used to do something radius around a particular property or whatever. I think you want to adopt them and start mailing to them more often, and so that they're seeing you're continuously building a list of people that are seeing you everywhere, getting pieces of mail from you that are valuable, and that's the way I would be thinking about direct mail. And I think direct mail is an opportunity because I don't think very many people are doing it.
I agree. I mean, I would agree with that. It just goes like with everything we know, right? It's the whole force multiplier effect. You just can't lean in, hey, you're going to get a response, right? You're going to get one response with just the direct mail. You're going to get a different response with the direct mail and a phone call. You're going to get a different response with the direct mail, phone call, and a door knock. So there's just, you just look at that whole force multiplier effect is going to, give you additional touches, just what you were talking about, right? So if we know if it's 21 plus times, a piece of mail, phone calls, voicemail, right? Just you start, how fast can you get them to those impressions? And, it's what we did in Pecan Valley, and it's trying to get as many signs in the yard as possible. And, when you were living there, we had the wrapped Hummer, we had the billboard strategically coming out of the neighborhood. We were dropping stuff in their mailbox. So we were trying to affect the touches as fast as we possibly could with as many different angles as possible. I know Kurt Shewell is really pushing on doing the phone calls in there and doing just solds, even if it wasn't your sold. And it was just calling in around and just letting them know, hey, 123 Main Street, right around the corner, just sold. They went it for multiple offers. That means there's more buyers looking in this neighborhood. So they're pushing hard on the prospecting side with that approach. That's their approach. Right. I had a good conversation of being intentional with these neighborhoods. There was an agent that had a builder product that was a first-time product, first-time buyer product that they were representing, but it would also be perfect for downsize. And so they were super intentional with the neighborhoods and then going after the predictive data of empty nesters or people that were just becoming empty nesters as they have their last kid as a senior graduating. And so they were being more intentional. They were firing a rifle shot, a precision shot, instead of a, just trying to shotgun blast the whole neighborhood.
Right.
So a little more strategic and a little more intentional. I think that's the word I was going.
Well, anytime you do that, you can get a lot more intentional with your messaging. Who are you talking to, right? Like, you want them to be like, they're talking to me. This is for me. When you get it in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it. So I think that was from Pam. So thanks, Pam. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight. Angel, so talking about when trying to grow your organization, trying to grow your team, and when you don't have the right fit for the team agent-wise, bringing in the right people or just an abundance of agents? Kind of what's the thought process around that?
Yeah, there is two schools of thought on this. What's your threshold for pain would be the start of
a better question, right?
right. So I think to me this is really something that over time we got a lot better at. And there's certain people that that if you work with, it will drive you crazy. and I've hired a lot of those people before in the past, and you realize it because they're doing things that are literally driving you crazy. And so I think it's critical, and this would be a good person to come to agent to CEO, because it's the systems and processes on the front end. You really don't want to even bring on somebody that's not a good fit, because they can become a cancer to the rest of the organization. And if you build the right culture, and a culture of accountability, and a culture of agents making calls, doing the work, then what happens is an agent that comes in that they might level up, and they look around and like, shoot, everybody here is hustling. I'm gonna have to hustle. This is I can't just come here and sit around and do nothing. And so when you create that culture, it attracts like, and it's going to make other people want to quit sooner because they don't want to be a part of it. They're not willing to do the work. So I think that goes back to core values. That's really where you kind of define these things as to what is it about that person that made them not a good fit. And when you have those core values nailed, this is how we behave. That's not how we behave. And so having the right core values attracts the right people. And so I think you really want to center that around core values more than anything. And then, have a good process for weeding out people that just don't match up with those values that you have. Right.
What are your thoughts now? We used to be, wanting to build, kind of our thought process before seeing the bigger opportunity or understanding, to be able to increase headcount was always about trying to develop Navy SEALs. What are your thoughts right now on, let's say you do have a good core value fit, but yet, somebody only wants to do 7 to 10 deals a year. They're a great core value fit.
Yeah.
They're an advocate for the team. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't have I think today, I think we've all had to look at it a little bit differently, because the opportunity is so much bigger at EXP, and you really need volume. The challenge of having all Navy SEALs is when one leaves, then 25% or 20% of your team you got to replace a big chunk of the production, and that could force you back into production if you've ever stepped out of production. And so it probably is a numbers game, and I think that's what a lot of the larger teams have kind of come to understand, that there's going to be churn of agents. There's going to be churn of agents consistently. And so it doesn't mean that you hire agents that aren't a core value fit, but you might accept agents that are, not at a production level that are aspiring to do more and more and more and more. If that's, I think that if it's the right person, then I don't think that's a problem.
I would agree. I mean, we've over the years have kind of, I think, evolved to that understanding. We were so big, as agent productivity, to understand that, hey, as long as we got a right fit, that's not disruptive to the culture, that's not sucking up the resources, that you're providing. And I think the biggest thing to look at is, if you've got somebody that's doesn't have the Navy SEAL desire, they can still be a contributor to the organization as long as they're not going to suck your resources. And the resources is your time and your people's time. And so I think that's where you want to really pay attention when they come in, and maybe if you do have tiers, if that's kind of your model, you have a standard around that, right? If you're providing some leads, if you're providing some opportunities, maybe there's a minimum standard to get those, or how those have to be handled. So I think it's also looking at standards, but I'm with you, man. It's long as you are a core value fit and you're not disruptive to the culture, bring them in, because it's that concept that we have. We call it the bitch slap. That's when you get out of production and you get sucked back in. And so you want to, if your goal is to get out of production, it's going to take headcount, increase your headcount. Cool. We got the applause from Angel. So I think we gave some good direction there. Thanks, Juan. And then Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson. So Jacob, dive in, go through. I know you're going through $100 million offers. Go through Brunson's book as well. That's it. Cool. What else is on y'all's mind? Whatever that you guys are kind of wrestling with, where you stuck, what's the biggest concern that you guys are wrestling with right now, looking to grow your business? Oh man. It gets windy down there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's been pretty windy. It was windy. It's windy today.
I saw some of the comments from those folks that are racing next weekend, and they were out riding and catching that headwind.
Yeah.
got Al all nervous now. That headwind ain't no joke, man. That stuff sucks on that bike. It's like, I know I could be going faster. You look down, you're doing single digit mile per hour. You're like, what is going on here? Oh shit. Appreciate that. My thing is, I'm new in the game, but bringing agents on, so I can't really kick leads out, but I can do like work for individuals. I do bring on. Should I focus more on myself? Yeah, because I'll let you. You can give Angel some feedback here. I think it's yeah. I mean, in the beginning, a majority of the business in your cash flow is always going to be dependent upon you, especially as you grow. The last thing that you want to do is take your eye off of the production pedal when you're a majority of it, to help your agents, because you'll look up and you won't have deals in the pipeline and your cash flow is going to get tight. And then you're like, oh, now I got to go back to production. And then you abandon the agent. So it's yeah. What's your take on the balancing of that process?
Oh man, yeah. So don't get ahead of yourself. Yeah, right. So like, the thing is, and I think I know why she's asking all these questions, right? Like, you're running it in a gear that they don't have, and so what you're able to do with the same amount of leads is not what you'll ever get them to do ever, and so you can leverage them, and you can leverage them at a smaller percentage, and you can manage those relationships and maintain the lifetime value of those relationships. I think that's the other thing, that when you give a person to an agent and they assume the role and relationship between them, the relationship is not yours anymore. That's what you want to be careful of, because the lifetime value of that person over the course of a career, it could be tremendous. And the amount of referrals, the systems that you'll put in place to make sure that you stay in contact with those folks, and client parties and all these different types of things, like retain the ownership of the client and have them do the $15 hour in the middle, right? And probably, I would say, even today, you probably make a big difference in whether they're going to listen to you on the offer, and getting it written the right way that it's going to get accepted, and doing some of that legwork of finding out what you need to find out so that it does get accepted. So it's probably it's probably just getting more leverage for you as opposed to, you know, just having a bunch of agents that you're providing leads to and things of that nature, it sounds like. And so, you know, you can do a lot of transactions if you start getting some of those things off your plate, and, you know, you don't have to give away half the commission. You know, that's the other thing. I think traditionally everybody's like, oh, it's 50-50 split. No, you know, that's probably not, you know, they're not, you know, give them part of the work, but, you know, either pay them a little bit, you know, for their time, you know, up front, and they're learning, you know, while they're doing those things, and then, or pay them a smaller percentage on the back end is a better structure probably for you right now, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's, you know, you look at a guy like, you know, I think it comes down. So like Gene Darden, for example, right? So Gene's model, he has never provided leads. He's never going to. He's always taken a smaller percentage, and they just around leadership, coaching, support, guidance, and the culture has grown. But he knew he had to get to a certain head count to where he could step out of production. And, you know, when he came to us, he was at 6 agents. Within 18, he's at 25. And so at 25 agents on a smaller split, there's enough revenue coming in to where he can step out of production. He doesn't have to, but he has that ability. So I think it just looks at that model, and then playing the lead game in today's market. Like, what leads are you going to give them? You're going to give them buyer leads that they can't convert because there's no inventory out there. Man, it's just tough, right? It's just, it is, it's tough. It's tough right now, but I think that's where you want to really coach and guide if you don't provide anything. So, speaking of leads, always trying to get new leads, but it seems to be slower than last year at this time of the year. What are you kind of seeing, especially I know with what Braden's doing? I know Braden's getting results, with what he's doing. I get feedback every week for sure on what he's doing, and it's been fantastic. What have those conversations that you've seen or heard with Braden?
Yeah, so I actually, he has been shifting a lot more to the listing side per, you know, kind of what, you know, everybody's requesting. And so, you know, he just had a call with, you know, with, I guess the CEO of Listings to Leads platform that he's been using. And I think he even might have a post in Honey Badger Nation about it. So you might like I would look up Braden's most recent post in Honey Badger Nation. There's probably a link to a calendar invite where you can get on a call with him about it. Mm-hmm. That's really been more, you know, he's still running buyer leads for a lot of people, some new construction, some different angles and whatnot. And they're getting results. That's just a little bit tougher. And some markets, it's just not going to work very, very well, just because there's, you know, you can't find them anything. So, he's been working on the listing side and developing some angles, kind of like what we talked about earlier with the home value. You know, a home sold in your neighborhood that may have affected your home's value. Click here to see what your home's value is, that type of stuff. And he called me last night or the night before, and he was so excited about it because it was working so well. So, you know, and when he hits a good one out of the park, he gets pretty excited about it. But and you know, he's all about doing it pretty inexpensively too, right? Because that's what most people need. And so, yeah, so nothing really new on the buyer front that we're doing. You know, you just have to sort through the people that are now need to have a house, like, you know, highly motivated, and you know, because those are the ones that'll make an offer that'll get accepted. Homeless people are your best buyers probably.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but he's more focused on the listing side lately.
Good. And I think we've been nudging him to focus on that as well. So, I mean, that's obviously the holy grail over there to be able to crack that. So yeah. You know, I've had some people that are back to running the new construction, or I've heard them running the new construction. I remember, you know, even last year, somebody running the new construction in a high price point market, and they were picking up a handful of leads every week, but very few, once they started the conversation, was like, hey, it's out here, we can build. It's going to take it's going to take time. And they're like, no, I don't have that time. But in that price point, like, they were over $1 million in the price point. Like, you don't have to close very many of those deals a year from that lead gen running. Even if you're spending $500, $1,000 a month, It don't
Yeah.
take very many sales to hit an ROI that's ridiculous.
Yes, 100%.
So to me, I mean, like, you'd be silly not to be running that
Yeah.
type of funnel all the time. New to EXP, set up campaigns, haven't touched the database in years. We want to talk about the Rejuve the database.
Well, that, or we could shake the trees. One of the campaigns that we ran that worked really well. We had been doing home value leads, and I mean, we had done for several months thousands and thousands, and we were working on the front end of the funnel, not the back end, and the follow up and all that. And so we had all these leads in the database. We had never sent anything to them, and so the shake the trees email was, hey, insert name. Do you still own the property at insert address? And so that was one way to, and then say, hey, if you still own that property, would you be thinking of, consider selling it anytime soon? Mm-hmm. You're trying to create engagement. You're not trying to, generate a lead. Obviously, they're in your database, so you're just trying to shake the trees and see who might be thinking of selling. And so if you can do that with your CRM, that's a good one. Any variation of that, on the buy side, you could do the same thing. But yeah, those are, there's that. And then, John, you can talk about the rejuvenate the database and, that whole process we went through as well.
Yeah. I mean, the Rejuve the database is, really one of the first steps of Rejuve the database is really segmenting out who's who in your database. We had six key pillars within the database that we were looking, to really try to segment out, because communication is not the same to everybody. And that's what we were talking about earlier with the direct mail, that you could have a different type of conversation to a different person based upon their experience with you. And it was our raving fan program. In our raving fan program, our number one person in there were our raving fans. And they were the people that had done business with us. They send at least one referral a year. And, we also graded, hey, did they give us a testimonial? Did they give us a 5-star review? Did we get a 9 or a 10? Are they a promoter on our net promoter score? So those were our raving fans. And, the concept around that is that there is a percentage of your database that if you proactively manage and proactively communicate to, will give you a referral. So it's our referral efficiency ratio. And within that referral efficiency ratio, you're looking at, if I had 100 raving fans, could we get 20 referrals from them this year? So it's one way to grow the business. And it's like, well, if I can get 20, what can we do to get 25? One of the things that Dan Kennedy has always said about the database that has always stuck with me is, like, he goes, I don't care how many people you have in your database. I only care how many people you're proactively communicating to in your database. He said, that's all that matters. You could have 10,000 names or whatever, but how many are you proactively communicating with? That's your real number. And so when you segment it out and you have a raving fan, you can have a more intimate, personally relevant conversation with somebody like that than somebody that's just in your database that's cold, that you've never talked to, that doesn't know anything about you. So that's why it's important to segment that out. The next was our advocates. And our advocates were people that they loved us, but you can kind of go either way you want to categorize this. I think the way we looked at our advocates was that they'd never done a deal with us, but they referred us a bunch of stuff. And like the David Madigans, the Dave DeBacas of our world, those were our advocates. I mean, they were singing our praises. They would stop people in the streets anytime they heard the word real estate, and they would send them our way. Then you have your clients who have done transactions and things with you, but they haven't referred anybody to you. And then you have a customer, I think, is what we looked at. They just done a one-time deal. They hadn't referred, one-time deal. They're not looking to make a move. They're not a raving fan. They're passive on the net promoter score. So you just start segmenting them down. And then you have your structured sphere. So I know a lot of agents are either part of the chamber, they're in the BNI groups, they're in those groups. Those are your structured sphere. You speak to them a little bit differently because you see them probably frequently. And then you just have your sphere, people that know you, like you, love you, trust you. They haven't referred you any business. They haven't, done anything. And those were the 6 buckets that we would segment our database out of. We went through that process with Plans Plus and then into Infusionsoft for us. And, most agents listening on here, you guys have KV Core available to you, but being able to segment them out, because what you want to do is I'm say, if Jay came to me, he said, hey, let's send an invite that we're going to do a thank you. We're going to go to movie night. We want to, let's invite our raving fans. Cause we would do that, right? We would rent out the movie theater and we would do a movie day with whatever big premiere movie was coming out. We would invite all of our past clients, but we would want to give VIP treatment to our raving fans. That's just an example. So important. Segment the database. And like in this example, you haven't touched them in a while. It's the, man, I've been a terrible friend email that you want to send to them. And you just get permission to start re-engaging with them if you haven't engaged.
And definitely I would be using, something to kind of re-engage is every time you take a listing, say, hey, I've got a new listing that's about to hit the market. Do you or anybody you or anybody looking to buy right now? Would be another way to engage with them, maybe get a referral and, potentially double in this deal too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I do like your shake the trees. Let's just shake them up. Let's re-engage the database. Let's get them, hey, if you were drowning after your life preserver, would you grab it?
Right.
Wanted to hire an admin, just pulling in 8 to 9 million in production. It's painful giving up the money to do, but it's painful doing all the work. Suggestions. I'll let you go into this because you had 3 admins before you brought a buyer's agent. I'll let you unpack this one.
Yeah, just do it. It's going to be scary. You have to do it. And you're going to delegate. You're going to delegate the things you don't like doing, things you're not good at, and the things that are low dollar productive. And they're going to have to be a catch-all. And, they're going to need to be a good operator. Usually, your first hire is not, they may or may not be with you forever. But if you find the right person that can, really be the catch-all for a lot of different things, because they're not going to have like a defined role. Their job is just to make your life easier. And you kind of have to go through the process of identifying what's the number one objective, that's going to get things off your plate and onto their plate. And, but yeah, it's always scary. That first hire is always scary. You always kind of wonder, you look at it as an expense. What I would tell you, another thing I would tell you is immediately start charging a transaction fee if you're not charging a transaction fee. So, add a $4.95 transaction fee to your buy side and your sell side transactions immediately, because that will take you no time to implement and it will cover your admin. That's one thing. And if you already are charging an admin fee, add $100 to it. You're not going to, you can, there's, if you're already doing it, add a little bit to it or whatever, and
right.
Pass along that cost.
Dude, I'm laughing because I just, when you said that and you're going to think of it as an expense, I always think about your dad. Like, I shit you not, guys. Like, we would have this argument every month with Jay's dad when we were kind of going through the process of, hey, are we going to buy the franchise or not? And, that was the lesson he taught. Do the math. He taught us that. He made us do the math, and we did the math and we realized, we ain't doing this. And we went independent, because at the time that was the best option. And I will never, like, I'll the day I die, I'll be thinking about is it a staff member? Is your team, are they an expense, or, are they an asset? And you and I we'd be red in the face. We'd be like, they're assets. We get a return on our people. They are not expenses. We get a return on our people.
Old school versus new school.
Your dad, he's amazing. So yeah, it's an investment. And one of the things I'll tell you guys, the number one thing that will stop your growth is not allocating dollars to reinvest back into your business. So one of the things I like to look at is kind of a modified profit first model, to where you have a set profit number. And where a lot of agents get in trouble, not in trouble, but where they hinder their own growth. They can be flushed with cash, but they hinder their own growth, is because they take too much profit and they don't take a percentage to allocate back into growing their business. And if you guys are really trying to figure out how to dial in, there's 2 books. You got to read Greg Crabtree's book, Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. And then you have to read Profit First, Mike Maklowitz. And then you can have your modified version from there. But you understand those key principles, and you understand there's only a handful of numbers that matter. And one of the number one numbers that matters is your profit number. And having a set profit number, and then you take every dollar above that. And what I mean by that is if your profit number is 20%, if you're operating about 25 to 30%, you take that 5 to 10 extra percent and you reinvest back into the growth of your business. And you're either going to invest, if you don't have it set up correctly, you're going to make sure you're set up correctly to invest in marketing and people. Those are going to be your two things that you want to allocate that dollars to. Man, one hire, you're at 8 to 10 million production. One hire, you could double that in 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you got to do it.
What's up, Juan? A big majority of expired listings don't answer the phone. What first message would you send them, or SMS, email, to get them to call you back, or whatever the first step would be?
Yeah, they'll never call you back ever, because they're going to get 1,000 phone calls. So they're not. You're never going to get a call back. So it's never. You never leave a message on expireds. There's no reason to. You want to be the first one calling, is ideally, because they might have answered the phone already, and that's why they're not answering the phone. And then if they do answer the phone, well, obviously, we have scripts and all that stuff for expireds to use or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it's that, and then I think it's whoever follows up the longest. Like what we had the most success with was, expired listings that had been expired for longer than I think when we were doing the direct mail, we would see a real pickup in like weeks 9 through 13 of people who nobody else was following up anymore. And so you became top of mind.
Such a great point.
So yeah, I think more so it's get there first. If you get there first, and you have the advantage. If you're calling and you're not calling, at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be first. And so it's amazing to me, because even when so I think what it was I can't remember if it was my house or what it was. It had to have been my house, because they were calling me. The agents were calling me. And so this is DFW, and you would think that there's somebody pounding the phones, calling expireds, but I think my house I had listed expired, or it was a conditional withdrawal or something. And the number of calls that I got, or unconditional withdrawal, whatever it was, and the number of calls I got was just so few. It was so few, and the agents that I actually talked to were so terrible. And so, like, if you just commit and do it, you'll get busy, and you'll get so busy that you'll stop doing it. That's what happens with everybody. And so, commit, go in early, and that's the secret to getting to them.
Dude, I forgot all about that, cuz that is such a great point. Like, we think that there's all of these agents calling all of these expireds, unconditional, even for sell by owners.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's calling them.
Mm-hmm.
So DJ, we know Matt and DJ. We know DJ in Pittsburgh. He's a phone animal, right?
Yep.
He's hammering for sell by owners right now, and he's getting appointments weekly, and they're starting to list these for sell by owners. And because one of the biggest things that getting feedback from agents when they're talking to prospective sellers is that they don't want all the traffic through their house. They don't want the 100+ showings. They don't want, the open house. They don't want that. They're like, I don't want 1,000 people through my home. And so they're hammering for sell by owners right now. They got a for sale by owner, and in one of the top agents in the market called that for sale by, was going to bring an offer to that for sale by owner. The for sale by owner said, well, you're going to have to call my agent, because we just moved it from for sale by owner, and we signed the listing paperwork with them. And she goes, let me guess who that agent was. Was it DJ? And the seller goes, yes. How did you know that? And she started laughing. She goes, because he's the only one calling you guys in Pittsburgh. One agent.
Yeah. Yep.
Hammer. They're not calling, guys. They're not calling.
Yeah.
Call them. Michelle Sayward.
And the thing is that the best callers at some point hire someone else to do that calling, and the people they hire are just not any good. Like it's so hard to find somebody that's good on the phones.
Yeah.
DJ, he's an animal, and he's gonna crush anybody on the phone. He's just that, and I think all of us have that skill set just because we have the knowledge, right? We've been doing this long enough. And that, yeah. For sure, that's where you win with expireds.
So this was Michelle Sayward, little ninja trick that she threw out there. She said, call the listing agent of the conditional withdrawn, because all the agents have buyers, and you call them to try to play matchmaker with that agent on that listing, on the conditional withdrawal. See if you can match make a deal. But what she said is it also now gives you an agent attraction opportunity. Because you're reaching out to that agent, you have a reason. Now you can open up.
Good.
That was a neat little ninja trick. That's a good one. So remember, guys, it's a handful of things. It's not going to be one thing that's going to work. It's the power Parthenon theory. It's what Jay Abraham teaches. You don't want to build your business on one pillar. You have to have multiple pillars in your business to be able to stabilize when one is not as strong as the other. And those agents that have the most pillars are the ones that can survive and withstand any market at any time. So you have to get more pillars into your business.
Agreed.
So Jacob here, what's the best list you would pull right now that you would go after? That's a good question.
Man, I think I would buy people who have rentals, have an address in a different state. I think that there's so much equity in most of these homes now that if they knew, they would. And some of these people probably don't know. They just don't even know. Like I can tell you right now, I would have a hard time believing that in Lawton, Oklahoma, that the market was as good as it is. And property values are freaking dumb there right now.
What about rental? What about the rental occupancy?
Yeah, it's unreal. So, if I moved and left, Lawton, Fort Sill, and my assumption would be that market probably ain't really taken off. That would be my assumption. And probably ain't nobody ever called them. And so, that if I could get that list, that's who I would probably be calling is absentee owners.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that's spot on right there. Because it's the money. I mean, shit, they can cash out just as much as their property values are going up.
Even if you have someone in a lease or whatever, like a lot of them, because you don't have to, in markets when they're hot like now, you don't have to sometimes do the repairs and paint and all the stuff that you would have to do in a market that was a little more evenly supplied. So it's a good chance for people that maybe didn't want to let a house sit vacant and make payments on it to dump it and sell it quick. And so, build up, conversations with those people that, that's going to bear some fruit early on, and probably over time, it's going to bear even more fruit.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Look, Carla hanging out with us today. What's up, Carla? Oh, man. Good stuff. Always good, man. I look forward to Tuesdays at 11. A lot of great questions. Appreciate you guys. This is fantastic. And we really appreciate you guys jumping in and taking advantage of this time. A lot of expireds expire because they can't find a home. So you need to be able to offer to find off-market homes for them to sell. Any ideas on an approach for that? So yeah, so I've had some serious, a lot of conversations with this. You want to position, and I tell them to go to our CHBA process, right? That the reason that you don't think that anything's there is because you haven't had a true expert advisor sit down with you and put together your smart home buying strategy. A lot of agents don't understand that, you have to get real clear on all of the 85 plus variables in the home buying process, and how, do you have an expert advisor on your side that's going to help you proactively manage all of those variables. And so that's where you have to sit them down. You have to present that you're an expert, and you have to lay out their strategy. And then you also got to help them do the math, right? It's like, we're going to get a lot of cash. We're going to a lot more than what your home, you believe it should sell for. But when we go on the purchase side, we're going to do the math over there. And we have to look at the math as a whole experience, right? Don't say this transaction, then that transaction. No, it's the whole process that we want to, overall look at it as an overarching, whole one big transaction, right? One big process. And we got to do the whole math equation that we want to look at. And so, interest rate, even if they've gone up a little bit, it's still, money's like free. Because if you had to rent your property, you're going to get more than what the mortgage payment is.
Right.
Cause add anything else on that.
Definitely, considering doing a cash out, like doing a cash out refi and renting the property is one thing that, that they could do if they want. If they're going to have to find a house first, that's, if they're stuck on that, that's just hard to overcome. There's just, it's going to be, I don't know how you get somebody convinced to do that. They're either really motivated to move, but they're not going to do it unless they have a property that they have. So if they're really motivated to sell, there's options, live in an Airbnb for 90 days, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever, there's ways around it, but you got to come up with something, to get them off a high center.
Yeah. And why I want them to lean on the home buying strategy is because it asks a bunch of questions to get clear on their needs and wants.
Yeah. Yep.
And lifestyle, what's important to them. Right. So cause when you were living out in BFE, that's not BFE anymore. There was nothing when you first moved there was nothing around you. Which now there's everything around, around that property. But, it was, making a decision to being closer, what's most important, not fighting the traffic. But you got to go through and ask all of those questions that most home buyers don't have anybody asking them those tough questions.
Right. They're truly not being advised, right? Like on
what
to do. Yeah.
No. Then you just relentlessly go after that neighborhood. You go after those type of properties. That's where you guerrilla warfare the hell out of it to find that property. And those agents that are willing to get clear, find that property and then go after it. That's how you create a raving fan. Because I promise you do that person's going to stand in traffic to stop people. It's Shannon Brown. Shannon Brown.
Yep. Go above and beyond to solve their problems.
That's it, man. That's their problem and you have a solution. And that's a big problem to them and that you can solve, right? Solve small problems. You make small money, solve big problems, make big money.
That's right.
And that's a big problem to solve. Good stuff, Juan. Hit then with the price change in your neighborhood message. I found people that were just outside of the IRS tax loophole of them being in there 2 out of the last 5 years, just another hook. Oh, cool. It's good nugget there, Jacob.
Yep, I love that.
All right, guys. Cuz, appreciate you as always, man. My favorite time of the week. And thank you all for tuning in, man, asking the questions. And, make sure you have this time locked in your calendar every week. And make sure you jump in and hang out with us and keep those questions coming. So we appreciate it. Cuz, thanks, guys. We'll see you guys. See you.